This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers Cable or Rogers TV.
Hi, and welcome to Politically Speaking. I'm David Shearman. My guest today is Mayor Ken Craig of the municipality of Kincardine. And we've got some things to talk about because, as with all municipal politics, there's always something happening. Welcome, Kenneth. Good to see you today.
Yeah, it's good to be here, David.
You're not snowed in, are you?
We are not. Highway 21 is quite passable these last couple of days. And once again, Lake Huron is kind of buffering the shoreline community a bit. I know as we get farther up the peninsula, there's more snow, but where we are, it is normal January.
and for the rest of Ontario, we got snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm hearing the skidoers are getting, or snowmobilers are getting very antsy. So we'll watch for them.
Yes.
I have to say, I want to congratulate the municipality because you've done something that I think is actually quite remarkable. One of the things I do in this show is I try to keep track of many of the municipalities across Grey Bruce, and I think the municipality of Kincardine has done something quite remarkable, or at least I've never seen it in another municipality, and I could be proven wrong. But you just released a progress report on your 2023 Integrated Strategy Progress. And in that, as part of that, you have developed a Kincardine Map Hub and Development Dashboard. And I would say to anyone who's interested in what's happening in Kincardine in terms of development, that's an excellent resource. What impresses me is you've brought it all into one place, and it's easy to see. How did that come about?
Well, it's certainly been a process, David, but it is one that the municipality recognized early on that it is a communication tool primarily, but it's also a resource for anyone, whether they are a large developer or a single home, interested in buying and building their own home. It identifies individual properties, like all the individual properties throughout the municipality under one site, headed up by our planning and building department. And anyone who is interested in purchasing or developing a property only needs to click on any one of the sites, and they're given the information about its zoning, about its size, about its servicing, about all the information that we have about that particular property is right there. So, yeah, when someone is looking at the potential of buildings development of some sort or other in our municipality, like the first visit they want to make is not to the building department or the planning department. They want to have an overview of what our community is, what it has to offer. And this has been a great tool developed by our municipality and implemented. And I just give kudos to our staff for the work they've done, but also the foresight of council to say, this is the project that we need to fund with the development that will inevitably occur in Kincardine in the next 10 or 20 years, whatever it is. We need to utilize every tool that's available to us.
What I really appreciated about is just a plain ratepayer, although I don't live in your municipality, obviously. But what I appreciated about it was that you can get very granular detail, not just individual parcels of land, but also if there is something planned or a development application in process, the type of application is color-coded. So let's say I was looking for apartments, and I can go and look for, there's residential developments here, here, and here. And then I just can zoom in and click on that. and up pops the application, or at least the information from the application,
Yes.
including drawings. So you can take a look at exactly what's being proposed. This is information that is often hidden in minutes, or is not always, I won't say up to date, because it is, but it's often harder to track. So kudos to your staff and the municipality for taking this very important step forward. It's excellent. I hope other municipalities will follow suit if they haven't already.
Yeah. Well, we've discovered, as you likely know, David, that the people who live in a community are acutely interested in what's going on. And when the community believes that information is being withheld to advance the agenda of somebody else, it's not a good response. So as we are able, there are some confidential, there is confidential information that is not, immediately accessible, but everything that is of public availability, as soon as we're able, it goes on that site. So people are kept up to date as best we can provide the information.
Well, like I say, kudos to Kincardine for doing this. I think it's something that other municipalities would do well to emulate. And hopefully, I know that staff across the Grey Bruce talk to each other, and hopefully the knowledge will get shared. So
yeah,
that's good stuff.
It's not proprietary knowledge. Like it's a software that we have purchased from someplace, so it's available on a wider scale than just ourselves. So, but
great.
It takes dedicated staff, and I don't mean conscientious. I mean staff that are primarily dedicated to keep that information available. Like that is their job.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's broader than that. They have a wider view of the municipality, but that is one critical aspect of the role they play within our municipality.
Sure. Now, I noticed also in the report there was a reference to e-permitting software. And is that something that is broadly applicable to, say, a burn permit, or is that only for development?
No, we're moving as many permitting processes online as we can. So burn permits and construction permits, as many as we can, and it is called e-permit. So it is being more and more applied within our departments, because it's, time is money, fuel is money. And if you can make the first 3 visits via your computer, instead of coming in and having to talk to our planning staff or construction staff and saying, what about this, what about that? You submit the permit, it's reviewed, it's fired back, said, we're missing this, or we need that, or something else. It has speeded up the process and simplified it. So it's very good. Good.
It's one of those things that why you kind of say, well, why didn't we do that earlier? But it's certainly good. Now, you still can't get a marriage license online.
No,
you got to go in to get a marriage license.
You got to come talk to our commissioner or clerk or somebody. That's There's no box. There's no box that you check that says I am not a robot.
So there are some things that still require the human touch, but this is a good way of dealing with it. Well, it sounds quite exciting. Well,
so many development applications are from away. So there's, from the convenience of their office, they can submit applications rather than, well, when are we going to be in the municipality? And that's a weekend, but the office is not open. So it's just so much more logical.
Yes. And with the amount of development that is going on, it makes a lot of sense to kind of integrate all of these processes and make them a little more computer friendly. And because that's how things are working these days.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now let's go on to one thing that is, always near and dear to my conversation on Politically Speaking, and that is budget. And no, I'm not going to ask you what the final outcome is. But tell us, where is your council in its budgeting process?
Our council process is, as is the normal case, staff started on budget last September, and they, through conversations and through senior management leadership teams, prepared a draft budget that was presented to council in early December with a proposed capital and operating expenses presented. We had our first conversation about it at a very high level middle of December. We were supposed to have met again Monday past, only to be canceled by weather. Our council had 6 members of the 9 that were elected first time last year. And they will tell you, and I will agree, that the budget process last year was very onerous, because not only was it budget, it was local politics 101. Like there was an enormous learning curve for all of us. And our CAO was new. There was just a number of factors that forced us, realistically, we had to slow down and look at budget from a perspective that it wasn't fast and it wasn't easy. This year's budget, the staff and council are much more comfortable with the process. They know the questions that they have to ask. They know the processes that our operations and planning departments use. They know the services that recreation needs to offer. So it will be a much quicker one. Doesn't mean the conversation is going to be easier, but it just means there's that foundation or fundamental knowledge of the budget process that will help, will allow us to have the higher level discussions about, what's the 10-year outcome? What's the 20-year outcome? What's the strategic goal we're trying to accomplish, rather than why is it that we buy white paper instead of green paper? We're not having those conversations. So it is, we're right in the midst of it. It is still our intent to be, have the budget bylaw completed. In my perfect world, it's mid to end February. We only have 2 meetings a month, so you can't squeeze one through in the middle of the night sometime. We won't do that. But we'll still be on target for our budget to be approved, likely in February sometime.
Okay. And what was the potential increase from the staff budget that you've had a first run at?
The draft budget came in at 7%. Mm-hmm. And there were a number of realities that council had to address. There were a number of there was great opportunity for a much larger increase to be presented, but through conversations and council didn't specifically give direction to staff that this is where it should come in, but staff is wise enough to hear the conversations that council has. So this is the starting place. There was a number of long-time operational costs that are on a list of, can we do without this, or do we need to put it back in? Where are we at? And that's everything from canopy issues, decorations, some of the events in our municipality, like what is it that it takes to provide quality of life to our citizens, and what's the balance? Where's the taxation level that will support that?
I've heard the phrase used in some other municipalities. We have to figure out what we need to have, and not just worry about the nice to have.
Yes. Yeah, and there's some financial realities too, because we're looking at development, and every municipality can benefit to some extent by the increase of development in their community and the increased assessment that it brings. But there's a lag period between when the municipality puts in the hard services for them, when they pick up this cost, when they pick up that cost, and the time until the time comes where they actually get an increase in tax revenue from that development. And Kincardine is in a place like that where we know the development's coming, but there still has to be an investment in some of those hard services. So we will experience some short-term pain. I'm sure that there will be residents in our municipality that will not agree with where we end up, even if we accept it as it is now. And, I appreciate the comments. But if Kincardine is going to prosper as many other municipalities will prosper, you can't prosper solely by cutting expenses. Any business will tell you that you need to increase your income to increase your business. You can't prosper in your business by solely cutting expenses. You cannot do that.
Because at some point, the piper will have to be paid. That what you have cut will eventually have to be either restored, or you realize we shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. And the challenge in that, David, and you're aware that the decisions that this council make will not be fully realized for another 10 years. Yeah. And we'll be judged not now, but in 10 years from now, when people say, man, now that was good or that was not good, one or the other.
For sure. For sure. Oh, I'm quite sure, Kenneth, you'll still be mayor then.
Or living in a retirement home somewhere, David. Thank you.
Yeah, but you'll still be mayor. You can be mayor from a retirement home. Yeah. My golly. I look at Ross Kentner over in Meaford, he's in his second career now. He was, general manager at Bayshore Broadcasting, and now he's a politician.
That's right.
And second term. So, but the other thing I wanted to ask you about, speaking of budget, is where is Bruce County and its levy? Because that also comes into the final tax bill, as well as the school assessment, but that's a whole other issue.
Yeah.
Where is Bruce County?
Bruce County's budget was approved at 6.16%. And even those numbers are sort of relative. 1% levy increase at the county level raises just over $400,000. 1% at the municipal level raises just under $200,000. So it is you can say the percentage points, but when it comes down to dollars and cents, there is a big difference in some of those financial realities. So, our tax bill, roughly speaking, the municipality gets between 55 and 60% of your property tax. The municipality does. The county, I hope I don't get in trouble. My numbers add up. The county gets roughly 30%, and education gets the last 10%. So at the end of the year, each property has a blended number, combination of local, county, and education.
But you haven't got that blended number even in a ballpark yet. Yeah.
No, and we have not received the education levy at this point yet either, so we don't know what it's going to come in at.
That's right, and it's often dependent upon what the province is going to give on their per student grant.
Yes.
So it's going to be. I hate to say it, but it's kind of like shooting at a dartboard and hoping you hit the right mark.
Hoping that nobody's moving the dartboard as you're shooting.
Which can happen.
Yes.
Which can happen, I'm sure. Well, it's always, and people, one of the things I have learned over the last few years is that people want to know about their taxes because it's the one thing that directly affects them. It's the one tax that it's a big tax because it comes out in, even though it may come out in monthly amounts, it's not a small amount, but it also is, it's close. And I've heard it expressed that it's a close tax. That
Yes. Yeah. The municipal tax is more well understood than any other tax. Now, I'm going to be so bold as to say you pay more provincial and federal taxes than you do municipal. But, through gas, through clothing, through groceries, through all those taxable purchases you make. But that's just the cost of living. But your property tax is very personal.
Very.
So we are scrutinized.
Well, as I say, that's what they pay you the big bucks for.
Yeah, as we should be. We should be scrutinized. We should, we represent our constituents. And one could get in significant trouble by suggesting that you don't listen. But there are decisions that have to be made around the council table, even though a majority of your residents might not agree with where you're going. It is the decision that either is legislated or is made because there are issues that provide context and background to what you're deciding that by and large are not as well known by local residents. You represent the best interests of people, not just their voice. So it's challenging.
Very, very true, Ken. Very true. Well, let's move on to the other I won't say elephant in the room, that's the wrong image, but hey, you folks are going to Roma, and very shortly. It's at the end of the month, the end of January, and Roma is the Rural Ontario Municipality Association, I think.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Part of AMO, which is the other clam bake that happens in August. But at the same time, these are very important meetings because you get new information, or you get information, you network with your municipal colleagues across Ontario, and you do get a chance to sit down with government staff. And
yes, we sit down with either the minister of a particular department or the parliamentary assistant. We have, it's quite a unique opportunity to have pointed conversations with provincial politicians. The municipality of Kincardine has approved delegations with the ministries of education, ministers of health, energy, transportation, and seniors. So there's 5 that the municipality has themselves. And I want to, if I'm gonna take up just like 2 minutes talking about the importance of advocacy. And though people, people call up their local politicians and say, hey, we want this, we want that. But there are really, really important things that as a municipal politician heading to Roma, you have to know who you're talking to. You have to understand the process that minister uses, and you have to understand their goals. Because when you go in, if you go in with a fuzzy request or a request that doesn't line up with their goal, the answer, even though they won't tell you straight out, the answer is no. We are not going to backtrack on where we've been. We're not going to turn 180 degrees. So as a municipality, if we can line up our goals and say, we want to help you, Mr. Provincial Minister, succeed in your role by doing this. We will do this with you so that we can achieve this greater thing together. Like it's a really both a science and an art to advocate successfully in that provincial arena. It's quite a thing, and I didn't know it. It's one of those things that you learn in the process, David, and I thought I knew how I was asking for things, but there are courses you take and things you learn that say, man, I had no idea. It's just so much better this way.
Well, and you've only got 15 minutes.
Yes, 15 minutes to present your case to the world. It's pretty tough.
Yep. That's tough. You better have a darn good elevator speech.
Yeah, and we do. Our staff is prepared. We have coaching clinics at the municipality and at the county level to say, this is who we're talking to, and this is the request, and this is what you need to say, and don't say anything more than that. Because as soon as you make things cloudy, we lose the battle.
One of the the upper level politicians here in Grey County said to me, and always make sure you get the business card.
Yes. Yeah.
And they get you, and they get yours.
Yes. Yes, it is networking. And, a lot of the productive conversations happen in the hallway with another local mayor. And you say, how did you do this? How did you overcome this challenge? How did you succeed in that way? And I'll get our staff to talk to your staff because we can use those lessons.
Yes. As the cliche says, I want my people to talk to your people.
Yes, we'll do lunch. Right on.
Hey, lunch is an expense, but my people can talk to yours for nothing.
That's right.
Except time. But yeah, and this is how politics is done here in Ontario. And you have these two opportunities at Roma and AMO to do this. And it's underestimated, I think, and not often I think it's very cloudy for a lot of people. As you have said, it's a science and an art.
Yes, the ability to make a connection. You go in, there's 15 minutes, and you better state your case in 5, because if you use up the whole 15 minutes talking, the minister's quite happy to say, thanks for coming, and away you go. Like, if you don't make your request and give them time to talk, to answer, and to clarify what we need to do differently or how we need to approach this challenge differently so that they can succeed in doing what their goals are.
Well, how many will be in your delegation going to Roma?
We have a couple of staff people, and there are 4 councillors going to the conference in Toronto.
Well, that should be most interesting, because another learning experience, which we can talk about the next time you're back on, because you will be coming back, I trust. But believe it or not, we're almost out of time. And I wanted to say that wish you well for the new year and your council, and hope that these things plan out, because it's always fascinating to see.
Well, thank you, David. Our council is narrowing its focus and their intents about the positive outcomes that will occur in Kincardine over the rest of this council term. Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much, Mayor Ken Craig of the municipality of Kincardine. And thank you, friends, for being a part of Politically Speaking. Yes, we'll talk again.
Rogers TV. Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
Canada's Got Talent is getting ready for the biggest season ever.
874,624, 800.